Okay, I think we are recording now. And can you guys see my hands okay? Everything's
Looks good on my end.
Yeah.
okay. I just wanted to make sure. So I'll just tell you a couple of little hints about one sheet wonders. If you go to Pinterest and you click on one sheet wonder, you are able to find a whole bunch of different designs. The one I'm using today is one that was created by Michelle Stewart, who's a Close to My Heart consultant in Canada. And you'll find that some people create their own, and some people you'll find that they've used others and then they've tweaked them. So there's a lot of different ways to do it. As we cut through this, I will tell you to put them in piles for card number 1 through card number 6. So that way, as we go through, there's not a lot of pieces, but you won't have to resort them when it comes time to putting the cards, actually putting them together. And you'll find that as in most one sheet wonders, the dimensions follow a dimension of a standard size card, which is the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2. I have seen some one sheet wonders for some square cards, but most of them have been the 4 1/4 by 5 1/2, which is kind of the standard. So again, because your paper's not directional, and that's a great way to start. And what our first cut is going to be is a 5 1/2 by 12. So I'm just going to cut all the way through with that, and you can ignore the other scraps on my desk. I was scrapbooking earlier. So that's kind of where we start. And then you're going to rotate this 90 degrees. So your 12-inch side is going horizontally, and you want to cut 2 1/2-inch strips here. So 1/2 inch by 5 1/2, and again a 1/2 inch by 5 1/2. And these 2 strips are going in the pile for card number 4. See if I can keep my piles straight because I'm putting them on the floor here. Okay, now we're going to rotate this back. So your long is now in a vertical situation here. And you're going to go to 1 1/4 inch. And you're going to cut all the way down. So you now have 11 inches. So it's 1 1/4 by 11. This piece here that we just cut, we're going to cut to 5 1/2. So you'll have 2 5 1/2 by 1 1/4 inch strips. And these 2 also go with card number 4.
Card number what?
Card number 4.
Oh, okay.
Okay. So now your piece is 4 1/4 by 11 inches. And we're going to rotate that again back to our horizontal length. And we're going to cut it 2 1/2 inches by 4 1/4. We're going to do that twice.
Did 2 1/2.
2 1/2 this way by 4 1/4. And both of these are for card number 2. And then we're going to do 3/4 inch by the 4 1/4. And I tend to use the right-hand side of my cutting paper trimmer when I'm doing that. So 3/4.
3/4.
Yep, 3/4 this way by 4 1/4, which is what it should be already. And these are going to go to card number 2 as well.
2 of those.
2 of those. Uh-huh. Okay, so now what we have left is a 4 1/4 by 4 1/2. Okay, so if you put it in your paper trimmer so that you've got the 4 1/4 edge here on your right-hand side, what we're going to do is we're going to take the top right corner here and we're going to put that on our trimming piece here. And then we're going to put the bottom left corner down here, right in the trimming gutter. And then what I like to do is I like to start in the middle of this cut, because if I come down, I'll wrinkle my corner. So I kind of start in the middle with my blade and just go up and down. So now I've got these 2 triangles. Keep those on there. Bless you. And these 2 triangles are for card number 1. And that should have used up that whole strip of paper. And now I'm back to my, this is 6 1/2 wide by 12, which was that second piece of paper. And we're going to go over and we're going to cut a 1 1/4 by 12. And then we're going to cut this into 5 1/2 inch strips. You'll have 2 of those. And then you'll have this one little 1 inch piece. This is the only scrap from this whole thing. Both of these pieces go for card number 3. Okay, and now we've got our piece that is 5 1/4 by 12, and we're going to turn that so the long side is horizontal again. And we're going to cut at 2 inches. We'll do that twice. And these 2 are for card number 6. And then we're going to cut this at 4 inches. And you should end up with 2 of them. And these are card number 5.
The 2 inch pieces are for card number 6?
Correct. And that is your 1 sheet wonder, meaning that you've used all but that 1 little inch scrap of your paper. And we're going to create 12 cards. So I'm going to walk you through each card and show you just how they come together as far as the pieces go. And then you can decide if you want to add, depending on your paper and whatever stamp set you're using, if you're using a birthday stamp set or a whatever, you know, thinking of you stamp set or a variety, you can decide which you want to add more cardstock. So I'm going to show you a couple of different ways that I've done this, just so that you get an idea of how this comes together. So this is card number 1 in the first set that I did. And what I did was I added this peach cardstock here, and then I stamped my sentiment and then added a mat to my sentiment. Now that same card I did here. And all I did was, oh, and this one I added this shimmer trim here. And you can use anything. I just kind of wanted a design element to that. This one, you can see was directional. So I had to change the way my paper went because it was the clouds. And I added no extra cardstock to it. I've got this little silver tape. And again, my goal was to use things that were leftover scraps. And then I stamped here. So same exact card number 1, but completely different looking cards to that. Card number 2 looks like this. So here's card number 2. I'm going to move card number 1 out of the way here. So here's card number 2, and these are 2 different ways for card number 2. So again, on my first one here, I added a piece of this peach cardstock and stamped on that. And this one, I just put the 2 things on and I stamped right on my card base. So I did not add any extra cardstock here. I do have the silver tape here, and I've got a piece of my zip strip here, or not my zip strip, my shimmer tape there. Okay. Card number 3. I can find it in here. Okay, here's card number 3 in my 2 different sets. So I added some cardstock here. And part of the reason why with this paper I needed cardstock is there just wasn't enough contrast between the patterned paper that I chose and the white card base. And then this one, I just kept and used my white cardstock. And you can tell by how I did this. This one, I had to drop my shimmer trim down a little bit because my stamping was so big. This one, I was able to keep my piece of paper larger here because I had more room. My rainbow and my sentiment weren't as big. Okay. Card number 4 is here. Nope. Sorry. Here. Let me see. Did I do that? Wait, 1, 2, 3, 4. Oh, nope. I did that wrong. Keeping my numbers straight here. Okay, here's my card number 4. Card number 4, you have these 2 pieces, and I added the white cardstock in here. On this one, I just put this here, and this piece here, because I did something directional, was in the wrong direction. My hearts were going sideways. So I tossed that baby out, and I just used it as a card here. It didn't matter with this one because of the plaid and how I did that here. I did add some cardstock here for more contrast. I left it white here. And this is how you can use, if you're noticing, obviously, I just used this stamped image kind of as my main image here, whereas this one I used a thin cut image and did the rainbow instead of the sentiment, and then the the sentiment is almost the smaller component of the card, whereas here, the icons, the flowers, are a bigger part of, or the smaller part of the card. So same paper cuts, two completely different looks. Okay. So here is, I keep doing these in the wrong, card number 5. So this is just your card piece becomes your background with your, a little bit of your underneath cards framing that. And again, I didn't add any shimmer trim to here. I brought in my silver tape here and added my icon and my sentiment. And then here you can see I stamped my just a note and then I matted it. Okay, now for card number 6. You can see, so again, rotating at 90 degrees. Part of that is because when I cut my clouds, I had the directional part of it was different. So I had to make this card more of a landscape versus a portrait, but it works because you can just kind of pick whatever you want to do and bring that in.
Very cute.
So what I would do is I would start by just taking what I have cut and adding it to my card base. So I go through, this is card number 1. And so I would glue these down to card number 1 like this. So I did that with all my pieces for all 12 cards. And really, I've cut rainbows, more rainbows, so I could make this into more rainbows here, kind of similar card style, but I could make them completely different, right? This one, I could use these stamps and stamp sets and do something like this. And then this one, I could go a completely different direction and do something like that, right? I could even turn this if I wanted to and go back to that. So that is your one sheet wonder. And what I did was I put up in the challenge was to attend the class, so you or watch the recording, and then 5 extra tickets into the drawing when you complete your cards. And you don't have to take an individual picture of each of them, but take a picture of the bunch of them just to show that you completed them and how they turned out. Because I would love to see, I think it's going to be fun based on everybody's choosing a different paper and a different stamp set of what you've been able to come up with and create. And I will finish this one. I will also do that and show that to you. And I haven't photographed these rainbow ones, but I will post those as well.
Okay.
So I have a couple of other little things that I was going to show you. I was going to do it as my demo last night, and it was a pretty quiet night. So I will show you now what they are, and these are optional, but they will also work for some of the challenges. And I literally took the scraps off my table yesterday. Actually, they were a paper packet. A couple of weeks ago, we did a card work, or a couple months ago, we did the card workshop, and I used the happy birthday paper. So I took out all my strips of paper in here that were a quarter or a half an inch up to 3/4 of an inch. You could even go to a full inch if you wanted to. And I gave you lots of ideas of how you can use strips of paper with the different challenges. But I'm going to show you how to make this card here. Let me move this out of the way. That's got your strips into different diagonal things. and you'll be able to kind of see it without the cinnamon. It creates a background with your scraps. And then you can add a sentiment or an icon on there. Like you could put a cupcake on there for the birthday card, or flowers or something like that, and create this. And you can use this. There's a couple of challenges where this would fit in. So if you try this technique, feel free to post it as part of a challenge, because I think it's a fun challenge. So let me show you kind of how I got started. Now this one, the first thing I did was I took my adhesive and I just did adhesive all the way around the edges of my card base. And then I kind of just did a grid with my adhesive all the way through. And that way I don't have to do adhesive on each little strip that I'm doing. I feel like my lighting is really weird today. Yeah. It's just going to be weird. Okay.
Looks okay.
So one of the things that you can do if you have a theme card or word, I, in this case, used this happy birthday. And you just want to lay it at what I like to do is I like to lay it at a 45-degree angle. So if I use my mat, this is not critical at all, but it works for me and with my Versamat. So if I put this here, I've got my lines at a 45-degree angle. So I'm going to lay this along here at a 45-degree angle. Now, again, this is totally not a requirement. And I would say most of the time I just wing it. And then I'm going to start with my strips that I have, and I'm going to bring these in, and I'm going to bring them, there's like a 1/16 of an inch between my papers. And I'm just going to lay down papers now. This is not parallel, perpendicular. Whew. I'm pulling out my geometry today, girls. Hold on tight. And then I'm just going to continue to go along in this direction with my papers. And then let's add this little guy here. And you can see I'm just doing kind of this one section of the card in this direction. I could keep going all the way if I wanted to, but then I'm going to turn it over and use my scissors or my paper trimmer, and I'm going to just trim off the edge, excuse me, of all these pieces that I glued on there. Okay. You see where I'm at now here?
Yep, looks good.
Okay, now I'm going to do the opposite direction. So I'm going to be going parallel to my happy birthday strip and perpendicular to these strips. So let's see here. Let's pull in this one. And you may end up having a little bit of your adhesive showing through because we just made that random kind of grid on there. But that's going to be okay because it's not, there's enough coverage that doesn't stick out as much. And I'm just going to do the same exact thing here. Creating, let's see, what else do we have? This one has some stars on it. Okay. And then I'm just going to do that same thing. I'm going to cut those off. Okay, and there's the bottom part. Now I'm going to just take these same strips that I have, cut a clean end so it's straight. And then I'm going to start above this little happy birthday line here. And so I'm kind of going, I mean, I could have started anywhere, but I did just out of, on this one, I started right where this would be a seam, but it's not a requirement. I think my eye just followed that and went to that. And now I'm building perpendicular to these pieces here. But again, I could have started that anywhere along the way. And I like, because we laid down this first piece, which doesn't have to be a sentiment piece, it gives me that straight 45-degree angle to work with. Okay, here is my piece here. Oops. And I like to use that dotted adhesive because it gives me a little bit of wiggle room. It doesn't glue permanently right away, so I can pick things up if I need to without tearing. Okay, so then my next piece here, I am going to, again, cut some of these edges clean so that I have a way to do it perpendicular. Let's see, what else do I have? I even have a piece of cardstock here. So I think I'm going to stick in this piece of cardstock. And I think it's even a little bit bigger. It might be a full inch instead of just 3/4 of an inch. But you can see, you can really work with whatever you have. And then let's add polka dots. And maybe some stripes. Packages here. What else do I have? Oh wait, where's that green zip strip? Let's do that on the very top here. There we go. And now, voila. I've just created a background using the scraps on my desk or out of that paper packet. Okay.
Yeah, looks great.
Isn't that fun?
It is.
And then what I do is I just take whatever sentiment I'm going to use. And again, this is using my scraps. So I have this somewhere on my desk. I stamped the birthday stamp, oh, here it is, on a piece of white paper. So I just stamped that on a scrap of white paper. Let me grab one. And then instead of measuring, and the whole idea I find of using my scraps is I'm not measuring like I'm usually, like in the one sheet wonder, you know, we're trying to measure and use every little inch of our paper. But I find that if I do this, then I just trim around it with my paper trimmer without really measuring. And then I glue it onto, if I'm going to mat it, I glue it right onto that mat. Let's see if it'll fit. Here's a piece of paper. And then I just trim with that mat in mind. So again, I'm not measuring. This just happens to fit perfectly on there.
I love it when that happens.
Isn't that awesome when that happens? I'm realizing what's going on with my lighting is I forgot that light. Oh, that's better.
I love how messy your desk is right now.
Isn't that awesome? Woohoo! So much fun. So then I just measure so that I'm going to have that same edge all the way around. without measuring, you know, I'm just doing this all visually. And then there's my piece to go right in there. And then this was just an extra star left over, and I kind of wanted to replicate that for you. But I didn't have any more yellow stars. So this is a wooden star, and I used my lemonade shimmer brush, and I coated it with that shimmer brush and let that soak into the wood. And then I put liquid glass on top of it so that I would have sort of a replication. You would get to see a card done twice. And I'm going to add a little bit of foam tape here.
So you did the shimmer brush and then put liquid glass over it.
Yep.
Ooh, that's, especially for a star, that's probably a neat effect.
It is. It's kind of, it's got shimmer, but it's got that hopefully, I don't know if you can see it. very
Sparkle
Tiny.
to the right.
well. I'm sucking at
Oh,
this.
yep. There you go.
There you go. So you
Yep.
can see it's got shimmer, but it's also got that glassy look, finish to it. And the great thing about that glassy finish too is that then the glitter doesn't really rub off either. Sometimes with the shimmer brush, it can rub off a little bit. But that seals it all in. A little blue dot for my star. Gonna add him right there. And there you go. So give that a try, you guys. It's really fun. Every card turns out differently. Even you can see, obviously, the same paper pack, how every card turns out a little bit different. But it's just fun to just grab the scraps that you have on your desk and give it a whirl. So, okay, do you want to see one more thing?
Yeah.
Now or later. I'm just
Well, we're here.
You're here. Okay, so here we go. I'm just gonna put these off my desk. And I learned this. So sometimes I, in the past, have wanted to give away a set of cards and wanted to have a way to wrap them. So I saw this video not too long ago, and what she did was she took an envelope. This is a 6 by probably 8 1/4 inch envelope, and she sealed it up, and then she cut the top off and created a little bag here, or a little pouch. So she could put the cards and the envelopes together inside there. Okay, so then she took a second envelope and sealed that up, and then took a 4 by 6 piece of paper, because this is 6 inches wide, and glued that on here. And then
How come I'm not seeing this? Oh, there.
Was I off the mat? Sorry about that. So
No, I can see.
this was a whole.
I had to click to enlarge my screen, I
Oh,
guess. so.
okay. Okay. So this is a whole envelope. I cut it in half. And I'm going to show you how to make your envelope if you don't have one. Put this 4 by 6 piece on here. Started in my paper trimmer with this at 1 inch and this at 4 inches. So I cut off and made that diagonal. And then you can just open this up and it creates a top to your little pocket. And then you can take a piece of string. And again, I'm just using scraps because that was my goal, this whole thing, and tie it up into a little bow or knot. And then somewhere I had a little wooden heart sitting on my desk, and now I can't find it. I wonder why, right?
I
But
saw how you just cleared it.
yeah, exactly. It's probably was up here where I just pushed everything. So I'll unbury it, but created a little bow here, and then I'm going to attach a little wooden heart. And there you have is a little gift pack. It doesn't have to be cards, right? Anything flat that you want to give as a gift, but you don't have wrapping paper, or you want just a different way to do it, you can do that. So let me show you how I made the envelope, because I didn't have a big envelope to start with. So I took a 12 by 12 sheet of craft paper, and what I did is I used my Versamat here, and at 6 inches, I put let me find a pencil. I put a little mark in here, 6 inches, and then over here also at 6 inches, which I didn't go down far enough. Okay, so those are going to intersect right about there. You could do this with patterned paper. You can do this with your other cardstock, however you want to do it. So then I folded the corner into that center corner. I like to use a bone folder to get a really good crease on that. And then I also folded this corner in to meet that. It doesn't have to be perfect because you're really not going to see where that meeting area lies. Okay. So then I took my paper trimmer and using my bone folder, and if you have a scoreboard, you could do this as well. But I put this tip here and here at a 1/4 inch. And then I'm going to score this across here at a 1/4 inch. It's a little thick where it's doubled up there, but hopefully, let's see if you can see. Anyway, it's scored right here. And then I can fold that and give it a good crease right there. Okay, now this side, when I fold it, put my crease in, you can kind of see how this is going here. I am gonna do, I'm gonna do my crease about 2 inches down from here to here. So again, I kind of winged it because that's how I roll. So if I put this in and I put this at about 2 inches, and then I'm going to score that too. And again, I'm going to have to kind of give it a lot of pressure in this double side part here. Okay. Okay. So now this one is going to fold up like this. Okay. Now what I did was these little extra triangles here, this is a pretty small one on both sides here and here. I trimmed those off. So it looks, when I'm done, see where this triangle was here, I trimmed and trimmed, and same here, I trimmed and trimmed, okay? And then oh, go ahead.
Oh no, yeah, I got it.
Okay, so I trimmed those triangles out as I did here. And then what I like to do is with this one is I cut off enough to create this flat part of the envelope here. And what I recommend if you're going to do this is there we go, I found it. To use this, some people call it tear tape, some people call it red tape because the original stuff came with a red backing. But I like to use this as, because it's going to have a little bit of tension on it, it's a double-sided tape. It's a little bit thicker or sturdier than my just my regular tape runner. And the other part about that is that I find, especially if I'm using craft paper, I need that also, that little extra bit of strength in my adhesive. I think you could use liquid glue. You would just want to be super careful that you don't accidentally glue your, you know, that it doesn't leak over and seal up your pocket.
Right.
That would not be good. Okay. And then I'm going to do a little bit here on my edge. And up here on this edge. And there's not an exact science to my measurements, but what my goal was to make this about 6 inches. So when I was scoring and I did this piece, this is obviously, this is about a 1/2 inch. I think I did about a 1/4 inch on that one, but then making this 6 inches here is kind of where I determined where my score line was going to be on there. And then we'll close this envelope up. And this is a great way. I mean, if you don't have an envelope, you can kind of even lay a card down and you can make your own envelope with it. Oh, I forgot one place. I should have put some sticky tape in here. So I'm going to add a little bit of sticky tape. I didn't remember that part. I got so excited. It's all coming together. So exciting.
So you actually have to make 2 of those?
So you make 2, but you get 2 you get 2 of the 4x6 pieces. So like if you make 3 envelopes, you'll be able to get 2 full packages with it.
Okay,
So,
I see.
So if I was going to do this now, again, I'm going to close this up with my sticky tape. So one gal who, the gal who was showing me that she was doing this, she said that during, I don't know if it was during COVID or just in general, but her son had gotten a lot of really big cards for his birthday. He had a major birthday, 16, 21, I don't remember. But anyway, most of the envelopes didn't have anything on the back side of them. Nobody had signed them, you know, they just presented. So she took all the envelopes from his birthday cards. But she had all these bigger, you know, he got a lot of the kind that are musical, right? When you open them up, they play music or whatever.
Yep.
So anyway, so she said her joke was, yeah, so I just stole his cards and made my thing. So here's my my 4x6 piece, and I'm going to glue that on here. A little bit wider than there, just with the fold. So let me trim that. And I think this would be so pretty if you had, you know, if you wanted to use a pattern paper, if you had a whole sheet, again, using that leftover that you didn't use in your thing. And then I'm going to put this corner on the 1 inch mark. And actually, I'm going to go make my triangle a little bit, my angle a little bit. So I'm going to go 1 1/4, and then this one is right on the mark. And then it's going to take a couple swipes because I'm going through a couple pieces of paper. Now there's my lid too, and we'll just pretend it's not going to fit. Anyway, this would go on my next envelope, and that's why you want to be right around the 6 inch part, just so that you are able to know that you have the right size. This one's a little bit bigger too.
Yeah, it might even be good to do a little bit smaller for the.
Yeah, a little bit smaller and a little bit bigger. So there, oops, I got it on backwards. But anyway, you get the idea. So now this one is definitely bigger. I need to cut down or score it down a 1/4 of an inch for sure, to get another line in it. But then now I have this envelope that I can use to put whatever you want in, right? What else could you put in it besides just cards that we gift?
I like it. I like that angle. It's cute.
Isn't it fun? And it doesn't have to be an angle, but that just makes it a little funner for me. Okay, those were the things I wanted to show you. I will stop our recording and then you guys will just all play for the rest.